What town are we in? Hicksville.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All I could see was on the wall. I know.
Did you do that on purpose? All right. Somebody left-handed. Right. All right. Thanks everyone for being here. Board members, make sure you have your mics on so we can hear you. Roll call tonight. Everybody is present except Reggie DeLuca. He did call and is excused tonight. And we have the approval of the agenda, which is before you. Any changes or deletions? Okay, agenda is as presented. And now we're down to public comment. Bonnie?
Why did they move the fight? Just to confuse you?
Yeah, I think so. And that probably would have been my wife, so blame her. So.
Don't confuse him so.
She tweets up once in a
All right.
All aboard.
Okay, anybody else? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Craig Swenson. I'm a resident of Lodi Township. And I'm here to talk about the emergency communications millage that's on the ballot March 3rd. This is a renewal of 0.2 mils to provide communications for police, fire, and EMS. 10 years ago, we came around, talked at all the township meetings. We actually had a little bit different setup. We had a police officer, a firefighter, and a paramedic standing with us. Because of House Bill 571, we had to change things up. We've had a little relief there. But I think your fire chief will attest, all the fire chiefs, police chiefs support this in the county. What we did with the millage that we had 10 years ago is we built 7 towers throughout the county so that all police, fire, and EMS have good coverage. Here in Salem Township, there is a tower that we built just across Dixboro Road, south of Pontiac Trail. But because we joined what was called the MPSCS estate system, we also get coverage here from a tower in Northville, which is very helpful. We also bought about 2,400 radios. So the radio that you see that Jim has there was purchased with this millage. Radios in your fire trucks, the same way. In addition to that, we maintain those, so if they break, we pay to have those fixed. We also enhance the paging system, so when you have a fire call here, their tones are set off by the dispatch center to call your firefighters. Now there's a transmitter on that tower here in Salem Township. In the future, though, we need to maintain this. So the reason we're asking for this renewal is pretty soon we're going to have to replace this equipment. The towers have transmitters, antennas, things like that that will need to be replaced. The 2,400 radios will also need to be replaced. In addition, there are things, and you can see the smaller device over there that Jim has. Salem has actually been involved in doing some testing. This is a paging device that would actually use the 7 towers that we have. It would give them greater range and enhance some of their capabilities. So we would be looking at purchasing those for the fire service. And also another big initiative would be something called Next Generation 911. Right now we have enhanced 911. If you saw the landline, you pick it up, it tells us your address. You have a cell phone that will hopefully, in many instances, give us coordinates that can be plotted, but not always. So we have some better location, but a Z coordinate, height would be added in with Next Generation 911. But it also takes advantage of advancing technologies. The biggest one you hear about in some places they're already using is text to 911. Now I've been in the business a while, and personally, when I first heard about texting to 911, couldn't quite think of a dumber idea. I just thought that was ridiculous. Fortunately, I have 3 children, who refuse to answer their phone, but will respond to a text right away. So I'm starting to understand that the generations are a little different. So what we've adopted in the industry is call if you can, text if you can't. Because there are legitimate times when people cannot call, often in a domestic violence situation or something like that. In addition, the hearing impaired and the speech impaired can then use texting to 911. As you can tell, I have a speech impediment. That's as a result of tongue cancer a few years ago. But there are some times that I just cannot be understood. And so that really has driven it home to me that maybe texting to 911 is a valuable tool. But beyond things like that, everybody has a smartphone, and every smartphone now has a camera, takes pictures and video. Be able to send that to 911. So when you see a crime being committed, you'd actually be able to send a video that shows the person and the viewer vehicle and things like that, as well as something called telemetrics. The cars are now all equipped with a bunch of computers, so we could receive a 911 call that essentially says at this location, this vehicle was involved in a front-end collision. There are 2 occupants. There were 2 airbag deployments. There was one that was belted. It was traveling at 57 miles an hour. So there's all kinds of new technologies that are coming along for police, fire, and EMS, and this millage will support that also. So I'm here to kind of, am I still here, and then answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? I believe this is on the ballot in March 8th.
Is that on the ballot in Salem or?
Yeah, and the Salem.
It's in Washoe County, it's for all of Washoe County.
Every precinct will get it.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, down to a few comments I have. Recently, I don't know if most of you have been reading the papers or heard about some issues with our landfill down in the township here, some concerns with the odor and the history I know that I have. Of course, I think everybody knows where I live down the street, and driving by there several times, probably I want to say maybe a month and a half ago, it seemed to be overpowering, and complaints, not so much from our residents, but a lot of folks in Northville Township, concerns about a couple things. One is the ongoing truck traffic that seems to be an ongoing issue, and also our of the odor of the gases that are coming off the hill. So to address them, you know, the DEQ has been out there. There was a violation that was issued to them. I've asked Dave Rattel, who's with Advanced Disposal, that's here tonight, so I'm going to give him a chance to maybe explain more about the issue. We have, besides the DEQ that's been out there, the ongoing issues about the gas that has been being released and not being captured. I think most of us who live in Salem Township realizes about the gases that have been captured over the years, and they send it to the power plant over on 5 Mile, if I'm explaining it right, and it creates energy. The township benefits from that. But this, from what I'm understanding, and I'll let Dave correct me, but from what I'm understanding mostly is the gases on cell 4, as they call it, on the expansion that's closest to 6 Mile, of the gases that have not been being captured because of some litigation issues that they've had, and I know a lot of you that I've talked to on the phone about it, and getting that resolved and then being on top of it. I personally have contacted the DEQ to listen to what their issue, or what they have found and what is being done. I can tell you now is that they have responded that the landfill advanced disposal has reacted quickly to the issue. And what I'm being informed from the landfill, unless you tell me something different, is by the end of the February, we're really hoping to have that under control. And then whatever needs to be put into place that this doesn't happen again. But, so Dave, if you have, I'm probably,
No, you covered it really well. Do you want me to stand, talk?
you can
this
stand
way?
right there, I think if everybody can hear you, and if the board, you know, would like to ask questions about what's going on, now is the time.
I'm gonna talk with some generalities because quite frankly, from an ADS perspective, owners of the landfill, but not owners of the gas collection system, owner of the gas plant, we are also trying to get a lot of the information back to us as well and be able to react to what's going on, and react in an appropriate manner. Just like you guys, we've been noticing the odors increasing significantly over the months to the point of crescendo of what's going on, what you're seeing in front of you now, and with the Northville Township residents' complaints as well. But in general, the temperature, the weather has not helped the situation with the lack of freezing that we typically have in the wintertime that holds down any sort of gas release or gas odors. And it gives us time to actually expand our gas collection system, or actually Republic's gas collection system during these winter months. So with the wet, cold, or lack of cold weather that we're having, the odors are definitely have increased. We contacted Republic. They have come out and reacted as well. There is basically started last week, started doing the full construction, and like Gary's mentioned, we're looking at by, if not end of this week, hopefully a significant decrease in odors by the end of next week. It's too late. It shouldn't happen. I realize that.
How are you gonna get those odors down?
By adding more wells. There's approximately 20 more wells that are going to be installed. They have installed, Tom, you have to correct me, Tom Fleming is the general manager of the facility. I work with Tom. They've installed 13 in the last 4 days. Now they got to hook up pipes to those to draw the gas down. So that's where we're hoping to get another 7 to another 10 wells put in by the end of the week. And they have some additional wells to put on top of the landfill where there's already existing wells that weren't working as well.
Is this part of what you're calling a gas collection system?
Correct.
Is
And
that what this is?
And I apologize, guys, I'm coming from technical side and I start using terms and such. Putting wells into the ground, into the garbage, and start removing the gas and the odors, which you're smelling, before it gets out into the water.
And you're gonna send that gas to the incinerator where others are going to create energy from?
It's all going to the same
So
spot.
you'll be able to do all that by the end of February?
That's what they're doing. That's what they're trying, unless weather dependent, something happens, but that's the direction they're going.
If I might interrupt you, Dave, for a second, so that the public knows, and I wanna make sure I understand too, is, you know, for years, as we've been collecting gas, I think most people know about some litigation problems between your ownership and Republic. So, from what I was led to believe, is that the new cell that, or cell 4, that's what people keep telling me, is that
What you're seeing on 6 Mile Road, I'm interrupting, I apologize, but basically what you see us filling on off of 6 Mile.
right. From what I'm understanding is that most of the gases are created after, they like use a 5-year period that it's been covered up, and then it starts to create the gas, they start capturing it. And from what I'm understanding, it's been creating sooner than 5 years, because you haven't been really filling that.
And that's what's, one, catching us by surprise, and I hate to get into there is a contractual issue that Advance had with Republic concerning the gas system.
Right.
That's unfortunate, it happened, I don't wanna use that as an excuse in what we need to be doing to react to the problem. I mean, it's an issue that we had with Republic and the gas people. They went over through the summer, but regardless,
But we need to make sure, whatever happens moving forward, that this doesn't happen again. Because I'm just saying, if it's a legal dispute between you and the other owners or whatever, we as a township need to make sure that, you know, we have to answer the public that these kind, because we have to know who's in control, if people are being bothered by this. So I just wanna make sure people know that the dispute has been worked out, correct?
Correct,
And Republic is on scene,
correct,
and you guys are overseeing it, and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
that's correct.
And the DEQ's been involved, and they're watching it, and so,
And we're responding to them every
right,
day.
okay. All right, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just
No,
want to
no,
make
no,
sure the public knows
it's part
that's,
of, it's part of the issue. However, it needs to be addressed, and it was addressed, and quite frankly, the result of the arbitration, legal
Right.
arbitration, came firmly with the understanding that Republic is responsible for this issue, and from now on, they will continue being, and it took away any kind of questions away from them.
I would like to know if either one of you know why the directional drilling was going on north of 6 Mile, actually north of the property that I tend to believe that the dump themselves owns.
If you were,
Off of Napier Road, in a pasture,
West side,
west side,
first house.
first house. Nobody knows? Was there any permits pulled for directional drilling?
if you're referring to the, if you're referring to any sort of, the maintenance building that we installed,
No,
that was under the permit?
the groundwater wells, the piezometer wells.
There's no directional drilling that was
It
under.
wasn't
It's the
direct,
Garrett
it's not
property.
directional.
It's just north of 6 Mile, first house.
Yes,
on
the
the
Garrett property.
Yes, you're talking about the monitoring wells that we installed on the property north of, let's get this right, okay, make sure I get it right. North of 6 Mile Road,
Yes.
by the compost area. There were vertical wells and monitoring wells placed at the corner boundaries of the property.
Outside your boundaries, from what I understood, they're in a horse pasture of the first house.
Right, it was on the Garrett property.
We own that property.
You own that property?
We do.
When did you purchase that property?
We purchased the rights to that property in the summertime. and
This
we-
past summer?
Yes, ma'am,
So that's the-
So you own the whole house then?
Correct.
correct.
The north pasture, the south pasture? So why are those orange painted, pipes down in those pastures?
What are
Because,
they doing?
That would be the vertical, piezometers or monitoring wells that we've installed in those areas.
those are monitoring wells for the expansion of the dump?
That's to look at a possibility of an expansion.
Tell us about that.
So tell us about that. How far is that going?
How far is the expansion going?
Yeah,
It's not. We have not even looked at, really looking at expansion. We came to the board, and the board last summer, and gave the possibility that we wanted to at least look at the possibility of going in that direction for an
So they
expansion.
haven't issued
That's what
anything?
these wells are placed for, to determine if it's even a possibility. Because we have to know what the groundwater is doing, we have to know what the geological formation is of the soil underneath it, to even make it some business decisions to see if we even want to go for an expansion. That's what we were trying to do there.
So they haven't asked for it.
so there was a permit pulled for that through the township, and the township knew about that when you did that drilling? Or there's no permits that have to be pulled for them to drill on property? Question to the board.
Yeah, we approved the, I believe was summer sometime of allowing the drilling to look at that. Yeah.
So how much expansion, how many acres are you planning on expanding to, if you can?
That's what we're trying to figure out right now. We don't have.
As
a
far as
number.
you can go then?
If we could, but there's also boundaries and offsets and everything else with the rules of the DEQ to even what we're trying to, physically look at with wetlands that are over there, looking at geology, what we're trying to figure out with
Have
the
they not
groundwater,
submitted anything
everything else
about
going
that?
on. We don't have enough right now in our heads. We're just trying to figure out. if
How
we
far
want
do you
to
have to be from a well?
From a.
How far do you have to be from a water well from private property?
I believe, and I apologize, I don't know exactly off my head, it may be 500 feet, it may be 1,000,
It's over 1,000.
so.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Rizal?
So what's the plan if it all goes through? What would be the plan?
for the gas collection system.
No, for the expansion. Let's say everything was gas.
We are right now discussing, we're sitting on a board with Washington County, that they are trying to update their solid waste plan. To be even thought about for an expansion, we have to be included, our property needs to be included in the plan. That plan is right now looking at a timeline of 2 years before that even gets finalized. From there, it would be another, probably, without even talking to the township yet, is we're talking, getting, maybe another year, 2 years after that. If that was a perfect time.
So in a perfect time, I would keep some here.
Yes.
So now let's talk about the traffic. And so you got a road there that's not paved. It's not, it's weight limited. I would doubt it's even rated for the level of weight that's going across it, meaning the double bottom of tractor trailers that are going down it, and the trucks that are going down it, the garbage trucks that are going down it, at very early times in the morning. I mean, what time does your traffic go down? Is it other traffic that we're seeing, or is this all garbage trucks that I see at 4 in the morning? What trucks am I seeing rattling their bottoms at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning down a dirt road that shouldn't even handle their weight class? Is it your truck?
You're referring to Napier Road.
Napier Road, yes. No, I'm talking, no, 6 miles. 6 miles.
Our backyard, when they go like 70 miles per hour faster. Faster than theirs. Yeah.
Whose trucks are these? Should I be talking to this guy about them?
Yeah, you know.
I don't know. Whose trucks are they?
My assumption is,
Are your trucks going down there? I mean, is it the garbage trucks that are going down there? Because they go down there at 4 in the morning, rattling their bottoms at 4 in the morning, right across my backyard.
Well, they go all day. All day.
But that's just the start. Let's just start at 4 in the morning when I'm not up yet. We don't have to talk about all day. Let's just talk about when I'm not up.
Right.
Why are they going down there at 4 in the morning, rattling their bottoms? On a road that isn't even, I don't even think its weight class can handle that. Weight class can't handle the tonnage that's going down there. It's a dirt road. What's the weight class of that road? Why is that road doing 50 miles an hour on that weight class?
I might be able to answer something for you. My name's Doug Alexander. I live right across the street from Kalo Trucking, and they have no restriction in this town
On weight
for
class?
for any time limit. They can go 24/7 all they want because no one has given them any restrictions in this town. They've been running a concrete crusher for the last 2 years that this town has let them do. Until now, so we finally said something about it. And that's why everybody's here today too.
It's just horrible.
We need our town
I
back.
moved in here in June of 2014, and the second day I heard this noise, this continuous noise. One day I counted 200 trucks, and then I stopped and I said, what did we move to? It's horrible.
Isn't 5 miles
Okay.
paved?
Yeah, no, it's not.
It's not paved?
Okay. All right, let's just, go ahead.
Okay, the issue of the truck traffic going up and down Napier Road, that's a nasty one. So my first question is the powerhouse in function or is it shut down?
excuse me,
The
sir.
powerhouse to burn the methane,
That is functional.
that's functional, okay. Okay, now, going back to Napier Road. We're going on 26 years, living off of Napier Road. We knew the dump was here, and the original, or the owner at the time, had people come by, pick up trash, anything, once or twice a week, maybe, 4 or 5 times a month. And there used to be a grader coming through, and originally, the truck route was 5 miles to Napier up to the dump, and then back out to 5 Mile and back through. Now, we could get rid of this situation on the gravel roads if we could take and push those trucks back through there. I had to get my mailbox moved. I mean, I was 3 feet from the ditch. I had to put it right in the ditch and replace it 3-4 times a year. We could not get out there to get our mail. If we did go out there and the trucks came by, they could care less if you're a human, an animal, or what. They wouldn't give you no room. I mean, you had no place to go. Very inconsiderate. I had tire marks up on my pole on the mailbox where these trucks hit it. I had pieces of the side mirrors that got busted off when they smacked the mailbox. I had to go to the post office, file a claim, so I get my mailbox moved. I'm disabled and everything else. And my wife and I, we cannot cross those roads. We're putting our lives in our hands. And like the gentleman said, you got vehicles going through there 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Now, isn't there a noise ordinance?
No, there's not in this town.
Let me
There should be.
at least
It
say a
is
couple
for us
quick things on
residents,
it.
but not
And
for
we
the
need one
company.
person speaking at a time, please.
And the other thing that concerns me is if you do move the dump over, what is gonna happen to the residents that's gonna live around it? What's gonna happen to their property values? There's a lot of new homes going in there, and I think the people that put these new homes in are gonna be fit to be tied. And we're running off of a septic field and wells. So, I mean, you're doing tests for the groundwater, or are you running tests for well water?
I think a lot of these issues, quite frankly, and maybe I'm throwing this out, at least jumping ahead to talk
Yeah.
about, because you're right. There are major concerns that, quite frankly, I gotta come to the township and discuss.
Right.
We aren't just getting set up to even look at and say, does it even make sense for us to even think about doing this? With that being said, we see two things. One is, the landfill opens at 6, so 4 o'clock in the morning stuff is typically not landfill traffic. I'm not saying landfill traffic does not use those roads, and they shouldn't be using those roads. They should. I mean, in my opinion. That's easy for me to say. Controlling them is sometimes a little bit more difficult. But, let me just say this, and maybe, Gary, I apologize, I'm kind of jumping off key here, because we set up a committee that I asked, quite frankly, to discuss the possible expansion
Right.
this summer. I pushed back on that and didn't really ask the township to have any sort of meetings because the issue with Washtenaw County was gonna be basically, at the time, 2.5 years later. So I first wanted to figure out just what we even are gonna be talking about.
Right.
It makes sense to me, Supervisor, if it's okay with you guys, and maybe you guys wanna discuss it as a board. I have no issue, quite frankly, setting up a meeting with either just myself, with your board, with the committee, discussing these issues, quite
Right.
frankly, on Napier Road, the concerns that you guys may have. I'm not saying I can solve all of them,
Right.
but it will at least get us in a conversation, like you're saying, what the concerns are, quite frankly, if we do expand. I'm not saying we are gonna expand, I'm saying it's gonna happen, but if we're looking at, it, quite frankly, as a business, we're looking for it in the future, and as we do want to expand, maybe we can come up with some ideas from a traffic controls type of study,
Yeah. But,
to a groundwater, to dealing with, quite frankly, the issues that you guys are having. I understand.
yeah, but my main concern is, I want you people to know how the people feel that live off of Napier and Chubb Road and 6 Mile.
It's everywhere.
There,
It's all
we
surrounding
used to
roads.
have horses. My wife got rid of the horse because she couldn't ride it. There's a lot of people that ride horses on that road. They ride their bikes on that road, and they're putting their lives in their hands. I did a lot of work for Northville on the historical barn. I got the tractor. I signaled they could turn. What do I got going by? I'm making a left-hand turn, I got a truck going right by me on the left-hand side. I got to the point now where I lift my bucket up, come on through, I'll buy you a new windshield. You take your life in your own hands when you get on that road. I mean, the traffic is bad and everything else, and the other problem is, if the dump does come over, it's gonna devaluate the property, the homes and everything else, we won't be able to sell them.
And
And
question.
that's a big
If I
issue.
wanted to open a McDonald's at the corner of the street, right at the top of the street, or right across the street from this townhouse, would you let me open a McDonald's right there? Would this town let me open a McDonald's right at the top of the street? Or is it one of them things with the architecture of the town and everything that they wouldn't allow a fast food restaurant? I'm just guessing, I don't know. Or I could have a McDonald's like right across from this town. My point is if this town is like that, because it seems like it's a little, country type of town. There's no way, Sam, you can't have a McDonald's at the top, it just doesn't fit our world. Why does this fit your world? You guys should open a McDonald's across from your townhouse, I mean, why not? You let a dump there.
Yeah, I'd like to address the truck traffic a little bit. We bond the roads on Napier and 5 down to back. And the truck traffic is supposed to take those routes. The truck traffic from the landfill is supposed to take that traffic.
Well, the landfill doesn't take it, but a lot of the trucks are coming from Chubb.
Those double tandems are all coming from Shell.
I
They're not
understand,
coming
but
from
I'm
the
trying to address the trucks that I
Right.
try to control, and granted, there's always gonna be a couple of outlaws out there, but I know
Like
I've
50
called
a day.
3 of the hauling companies this week to report drivers that weren't taking the route that I'm paying to bond. So those guys, the guys that are coming and going from the landfill are not supposed to be on Napier north of Sixth. They're not supposed to be on Beck Road.
Then you need to pass out that phone number tonight to all of us people, and we'll call those companies too.
Got it.
Cause I'm north
I
of
don't have a
7 Mile
problem
on
with it.
Napier 32 years. I know that those garbage trucks are coming north,
I
even
told you, I
past
called
7.
3
Give
of
us
them
your
this
phone
week.
number.
I've called 3 this week. I've called the haulers on 3 of them.
I had to come to the hall and tell them that the garbage is laying in the roads, mattresses. Last time I come
Broken
down,
windows.
there was broken windows laying on a street just south of 7 Mile on the west side of the street. I had to go to Township Hall and tell them, hey, somebody's dumping all this stuff on the roads. The thing is, nobody's maintaining that road to pick up the garbage. There's no surveillance, a lot of stuff is uncovered and everything else, it's flying in our front yards and everything else, in our ditches, we got people driving through our ditches, taking our mailboxes off, it's getting ridiculous.
I went tonight and had another flat fixed with a piece of metal in my tire. Got the receipt out in the truck where I had it fixed tonight. I mean,
Okay.
it's ridiculous what they're dropping off.
Okay, is there any other questions directed as far as the issues of what these folks are doing to correct the order problems?
Obviously, there's a lot of conversations that we need to have, and like I said, it's up to the board.
All right, all right.
Have you done any water quality tests? Like, we've been getting really bad headaches and nausea in my house. I feel like I'm on a direct path, like the air goes right to my house, inside my garage, inside my house. It's horrible. I can't walk my dogs. I tried to use my hot tub this weekend and couldn't.
Thank you.
Is this Northfield Township anymore, or is this?
Yes.
Okay.
And, I'm not confident that the air is safe to breathe.
I'm not an expert, I mean, I just know that how many years that we've been working in it, our
But are
workers
you
and stuff.
responsible for that? Do you need to do those sort of tests?
We are not responsible to do, I believe the test that you may be referring to, that type of health and safety type of issues. I know that the DEQ had put out canisters to see what is going on out there. They've done it this last weekend, I was informed. So from that perspective, I believe they are testing the.
Right, they are, I had a conversation with
Yeah.
them today.
From our regulations, for what they're asking us to do, the answer is no. They don't ask us to do that type of analysis.
Now, before this came to a head, did you actually report Republic? Because it sounds like, are there two separate companies?
And that's why I kind of was trying to allude to this back to this, try to keep it within what we, because we're controlling it. In a sense, I'd rather say that we're controlling the issue, because quite frankly, it's coming down on us, it's our permit, it's our responsibility. We may have some contractual issues that we're gonna deal with the public on this issue. But to answer the question, I'd rather have it be going through us, and if there's a bigger point in talking right now, we're trying to deal with the situation, trying to get our subcontractors, if you wanna call that, in line.
Because we smelled this over the summer. It's been going on a really long time. We were unable to barbecue on our back deck because the smell was so bad. And I just started escalating this at the beginning of January. I talked with Tom, who was fantastic.
Good, I
and,
was just gonna say, 'cause we've been starting to get out there with a community relationship and the fact of, guys, yes, we're
But the
leaving
thing
at the end
is,
of the night,
did you
we're
do
leaving at the
something
night.
before we started making such an issue of this?
Yes, they drilled approximately another 10 wells in the summer, but obviously it did not do what it was supposed to do, and they needed to do more. And that's when they jumped on it.
Okay,
It got ahead of, and it shouldn't have. And I, quite frankly, just for Tom and myself, I apologize. This should not be this.
yes, ma'am?
Yes, my mother-in-law, who's 86 years old, lives at 10141 6 Mile. So she's right in between where the landfill is and where the compost facility is. So you just bought her neighbor's house. So she would be the next house over. And we had heard that 6 Mile might be closed with the expansion. And so obviously, and she also read in the paper about this, so as you might imagine, that was quite upsetting to her.
Right.
And so we've been trying to just get to understand what's going on. So can you speak to whether there's any truth to 6 Mile being closed?
No, I don't believe, we never attempted to close 6 Mile Road. You know, I think maybe we said it once to.
There was conversation about it, but that's not it.
But that is not in the understanding of anything we're looking for an expansion at this time. I mean, it just doesn't, there's a whole bunch of other issues that would even be addressed if that even possibility.
Okay, so with the expansion, at this point, there's not a plan.
There is not a plan to close 6 Mile.
Okay, and with the traffic, if there was an expansion, 6 Mile would remain open and you would use the same truck route, 5 Mile? Or would you be, because it would be expanding towards 7 Mile, where would that additional traffic potentially go?
I apologize, I haven't even gotten that far. And you probably say, well, why didn't you? We haven't even got that far to even think about trying to look at traffic patterns. The knee-jerk, quick reaction is, no, everything would stay the same from the traffic pattern from 5 to Napier, and the entrance would be similar to where it is now.
Okay, thank you.
Moral of the story, though, is that if you're gonna go with this expansion and try not to have enough slack where people are gonna punch you down, you gotta do your job better. You're doing a bad job. And you can't have the bad job with the traffic, the bad job with the fumes, the bad job with the wells, and say, oh, and by the way, we're gonna make it bigger now. You suck at what you do now, how are you gonna do that?
I disagree with you. But
Okay, all right. Anything else for these two guys? Because we can talk. You had your hand up. Thanks, Dave.
She solved it.
I do want to make a comment on, as far as my point as being representative as a supervisor of Salem Township. I've been the supervisor for a little over 3 years now, so I do have questions for the whole township. For not only this board that sits up here, and again, everybody on this board up here has been here for a little over 3 years. And Dave's been for quite a few years. You know, I'm not in the position of blaming what's gone on in the past or whatever, but I do want to make a comment about, number one, I brought up last month about a flyer that went around. That is just a lot of untruth. I always felt it was very important to bring issues to this township right away when somebody came in and asked us to do something or talk about something. That's what everybody keeps talking about. Newsletters are not informed, or we're not keeping. Yes, we are keeping people informed. We are telling you that Advanced Disposal came in here and told us that they wanted to expand the landfill. And we thought, well, we better form this committee, which we did. That's keeping you informed. Not only that, we put it into the newsletter to keep you informed. Okay, so it's in there. So nobody has made a decision. I have said from day one, to me, I don't care as a township what happens about the landfill, whether it stays or it goes. What is going to happen to the residents? If you look at the flyer says that the landfill in time, it's going to close, it's going to cause twice as much more traffic. It's not true. The problem is that everyone that sits here tonight creates garbage. Your garbage goes somewhere. And it happens to go over here at 6 Mile. And when that thing is filled, in a matter of 17 years, they're saying what's left.
Then stop taking candidates.
Said from 17 years, once it's left, what's left, and then they're going across the street. So once this is filled, they have to have somewhere else to put it. So that's what they're talking about, okay? So then we, as a township, needs to decide what's going to happen to us. Does the flyer say, okay, so your taxes will go up? So it talks about you have to pay for your garbage pickup, the thing. That it doesn't say, the township has spent over $1.2, $1.3 million just in legal fees in prior boards. You know, where does that money come from? It's not coming from the Salem Township residents that live here. It comes from the money that's made off the landfill that comes into here. So, in my position is, and I haven't said one way if I'm for the landfill or against it. I'm just saying that we all will have to start paying more taxes. We all have to pay for the fees that go to a landfill. And you know, so to me, it's like we need to have discussion about it. Now, the other point I want to make perfectly clear to everybody, we have all kinds of issues with the trucks. The township has done a poor job of looking ahead of what's in front of them. Okay, we have a heavy industrial area that everybody talks about, everybody sees what's going on over on Chubb Road. What kind of provisions did they say, even if you want to talk about Kalo and Sons, back in 2010 or 11 when they approved it before a lot of us were here, when they allow 30, 40 more trucks, double the size of all the trucks that are coming on that road and not making any provisions of what's going to affect the township by truck traffic. It's crazy. It's like, why wouldn't somebody put something into place to allow the problems?
Excuse
that
me,
we're
why
having?
didn't you
No,
step in?
Sir?
You could have
Sir,
stepped
hold on
in
a minute.
2
You're
years
out of
ago.
order. You're out of rule now.
Excuse me.
We'll give you your chance to talk. But I'm saying, that's the issue, is that we've never put efforts into saying, what do we do when the landfill expands? You know, the landfill expanded in 2009, if you remember. And it allowed it to fill up, so now we got about 17 more years of it. As I've talked to some of the residents in Northville Township, I've said, you realize this is gonna go on for another 17 years. That's what's on the south side of 6 Mile. So my question is what did Salem Township do in 2009 when they allowed it to go for another 20 years to put provisions in with the truck traffic and everything that we're sitting here talking about tonight? Absolutely nothing. So what I'm saying is that when advanced disposal came into this township in the summer, make it perfectly clear, and hopefully I'm saying it right, when they came in, none of us really gave our opinion on it. We said, okay, the first thing we need to do is form a committee to sit down and talk about the issues that we are facing. Not only truck traffic, or if we even want this thing to continue. But never did I ever say I'm for it or against it. I had some people here tonight come here and accuse me I'm on some board that I'm for it already. It's already been a done deal. I've even had people in Plymouth Township stay in their board member that this is already a done deal. That's just not true. It's not fair. So all I have said to this township since I have became the supervisor, I have given everybody my personal cell phone number. Anybody calls me, and a lot of you do, and if you have a question and you want to know something, I answer the questions. So if you're running around town saying, well, Gary's for it, he's already in cahoots with them, that's wrong. I have never said that I'm a part of any expansion other than we need to be ready if they come in here and talk about what can we do to put something together. If it does, because now I think it's the time. If they do come in, we better sit down. If we do expand, if that landfill expands, we better get this under control. We better have them pave some roads. We better have them put stuff into place because now's the time to do it. And if you want to talk about Kalo and Sons, which I know that's a big problem over there, I just say in 2011, 2012, what did the Planning Commission do at that time to say, you know what, we should pave that road so all that mud that comes out on 6 Mile with all them trucks, you know, it's crazy. There's no planning. We don't plan properly. So I'm just saying, as my comments tonight, I'm saying, look, if you got a problem, there's never been one person that has ever called me that I have not answered you or called you back and say, look, here are some issues that we need to deal with. And I think moving forward, when the landfill does come to us, if they do, it's very important, and we want to hear from people. We want people's input, and this board is just not me. I'm just one vote. These people are good people. They live in the town. They love Salem, and you know what? I mean, and people talk about trucks. I live at 6th and Curtis, and the truck, I can't get my mail. I mean, then garbage trucks are flying down like crazy. It's not acceptable. And it's like, if we can't put our, you know, in fact, the one night that we talked about this, I don't mean to ramble on and on, but the one time that we sat as a township and talked about a discussion, we talked about roads. We talked about how Chubb Road has got to be paved from 5 to 6, and how it's got to go from 5 and Napier down to get up to that area. And then we talked about paving Napier Road. It's going to go all the way to Grand River, if it's, you know, if that's what the township wants. But we can't just say, yep, let's let them expand, let's let all this stuff go on, and then not realize that we're going to have some major issues with traffic and trucks. We can't. We got we gotta figure it out. So, anyway, that's my comments. Okay? So anyway, let's move on with the meeting tonight. Would you
You know,
like to
Gary,
say
what you said was very true, and just to add to it, you know, back in 2009, Northville Ridge was probably, what, 25% populated, 30% populated?
Northville what? I'm sorry.
Northville Ridge,
Yes.
with the amount of homes, I mean,
Right.
it was maybe 30% of the homes were actually built there. Steeplechase didn't even exist.
I know.
You
You know what?
now
I'll tell you,
look
my
at, look at
son-
the area, how
Yeah.
much it's changed since then.
At 7 Mile, and I don't know what part of Steeplechase you're at, but you know, the one over by, off of 7 Mile. I was there several years ago, this is before I even got it, I mean, several years ago. But when they were doing that, I actually seen, because when they, see, I think, you know, even the compost, when they turn that over, it's so bad. But I think it was so bad over there one day, I don't know how people deal with that. But I'm just saying, there has to be controls on this. And in all fairness to landfill, I think, and most of the time, they have done a good job in trying, because until the last, unless I'm crazy, but I go down, you know, I have a business in Detroit, and when I go this route, I very seldom, but here since January, or whatever, I mean, it just was unbelievable. And again, it's unacceptable, and we as a township with our neighbors, we love Northville Township. You guys got a great supervisor over there. I mean, it's a problem. And just so the folks of you that are here from Northville, Bob Nix, you know, back, I want to say, it's got to be probably November or so. He's just so frustrated because of the truck traffic, because of the stuff you talked about. So we got together and I just said, here's, you know, I took him up on the hill and I just showed him, you know, we have to work together to get something. And what I'm saying, it's not, well, I'm not talking about expansion, I'm talking about now. And again, if the landfill expands over where the compost is, to me, if the people want the landfill to expand in this township, then, you know what, we have to sit with the landfill and say, look, we gotta have this done, we have to have some control. Then we have to create ordinances, we have to have truck routes, and then we have to enforce them.
So
But we don't even have a truck
basically,
order.
they got the first ride for free. In 2009, that was an easy expansion, because
No,
they
well-
got it off for free. They didn't have to do the roads, they didn't have to fix it.
Well,
There's a
I
lot
know,
of
but
things.
that's
Now, it's gonna be a costly expansion. They got a lot to
Well-
live up to for this one.
lot of money.
You know what,
Got a
and
lot
I
of money.
agree, it's just like, it's either that or that we say no.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
I'm just, and I'm not saying yes or no, I'm just saying, again, but me as the township supervisor of Salem, it's unfair to me for people, and there are these people that are sitting in this room tonight, to put out flyers and say that I am in cahoots with these people, or I have done, and I haven't. I'm just saying, there's nothing on record or tape that have said that I am for this expansion. It's not, it's just that I'm bringing it to the attention of the people, and I have to hear from people. And I believe Northville Township's doing the same thing. And so, that's all. I just, we wanna do what's right. We know it's in our backyard. It's not the greatest thing to have in your backyard. But again, we all do create trash and it's gonna go somewhere. And I hope that, you know, with the landfill, we can work to get this odor thing under control. And then our next thing is with the traffic, so. All right, so, now, nothing more.
I have to say something,
Yes.
excuse me. You said there are people handing out flyers, I'm one of them. It's nothing against you. I gave
Thank
you my vote, I voted for you, I thought this town's gonna be another hall in Michigan, food festivals, another Christmas, Frankenwood Christmas festivals. Instead, I'm choking in dust. My medical bills are growing every day. I have asthma attacks. I came crying to you, Mr. Supervisor. Yes, you did answer my call. You said you are lucky things are not worse. That is not right. Thank you.
Hey, can I ask a question? Are you gonna vote for him next time?
No, definitely. I will.
Yeah.
you know, I hesitate to talk a lot of times. I'm involved on the planning commission. My interest in the township is that, as a Salem resident, I want to see the township get better. I know working with the board, working with the planning commission, we're trying to solve these problems. But rather than it being attacked and having political attacks and everything else, where people are opportunists and take advantage of it, why don't we as residents pull together, support your board, support your planning commission, to do the things that you want to see get accomplished? Because we want to do those
I am
things.
getting sick here. That is nothing political, mister.
It's political.
It is
Okay,
not.
there are some political aspects to this. If you ignore that, you're not.
No, sir, our town officials have let Kalo run their concrete
Let me
crusher for
talk.
the last
I'm
2 years.
talking
We
right
cried
now.
and we cried
Let
to
me
the
speak.
town, and what good does it do?
Hold on a
What good
minute.
did you guys do for us?
That,
And what are you gonna do for,
And this township is not informed. We never knew about the crushers. That was never a
silica
clue.
dust flying in the air?
I just spent an hour before this meeting
Elementary
going
school,
over all this stuff, trying to find solutions for all of this. So to be accusing.
Then
to
say no to
accuse
the concrete
people that are
crusher.
trying to help you is not gonna solve
it
the
down
problem.
while there's a
And
solution.
the supervisor said
Hey,
it
folks.
already.
And now since we voiced our opinion, they shut down over there, thank you,
You
but
said
it's about
in our
time.
meeting with us and Mr. Carroll, Mr. Carroll said, I'm paying $70,000 in taxes. You said our township doesn't see a penny of that money. So where does the money go?
we don't get money from you folks, or we don't get money from businesses. But anyway, we had one people at we don't charge people local taxes. The landfill pays all the taxes. So, just,
So we don't gain financially at all.
We gain nothing financially.
yeah, we don't.
We just eat dust and eat garbage.
Sandy?
Well, we garbage too, we pay for it. We pay a lot, we pay very
Yeah,
high
no, I know you do.
taxes.
I know you do.
12,000
And
a
I
year.
choke on the dust, I hear the trucks, I smell the dump. What,
Yeah.
where
But-
am I living?
But, right. Okay,
It seems to me, though, that we may be addressing this issue a little bit backwards because we're going to, the committees out in Ann Arbor and discussing all of this stuff about the landfill. Why aren't we finding out what the residents of Salem Township and the surrounding communities want? Because if no one wants the landfill, aren't you kind of wasting time and energy with meeting up with this committee because the residents don't want it?
I think it was explained tonight that the committee is, that the county has to do is it a
But that's-
50-year, Dave, is it?
It's a 10-year
A
solid
10-year.
waste plan, which
Right.
we talk about recycling,
Right.
recycling, composting.
They hadn't even talked, I don't know how many meetings we have, nothing's even talked about the land.
But I still think if you want to find out if the residents are against even having this, I
It's
don't
been in our
understand why
newsletter,
you're
we've
not.
been talking about it every meeting.
Has
I
an
don't know
impact
where you
study
guys-
been done for the neighborhoods?
We are
There's supposed to
talking
be an
about,
impact study done, it's in our ordinances. Has
and
there
again,
been one done?
I just admitted that we have not done that, but we need to do that.
They should have been done a long time ago.
That's what I said.
Let's
You
do
went
it.
in there 3 years though, when we're.
Yeah. Jim?
I've been around Salem in different places since the seventies, and that was just about the time Holloway applied for the solid waste to be stored in Salem Township. So I've kind of watched that come about. I think what we need to do is to look at the truck traffic to get a possible commercial enforcement, weight master kind of thing done in here where they're here all the time, and that'll get the trucks straightened out. As far as the odor and stuff like that, I was really surprised when I saw them building those houses and the prevailing winds being out of the southwest coming from the dump would go right over those $400,000, $500,000 houses. Now, I recall when I bought my residence I have now, 15 years ago, it said in some closing documents, it made us initial or become advised that we were aware that we were within a certain footprint of a farm and also close to a dump, if I recall. So these folks that moved in here all this time, just recently and stuff like that, I feel for the people that have been around here for a long time and stuff like that about the odor, but when you closed on your house, I know you folks had something in your closing
Oh,
documents.
in the
that
300 pages that we
Well,
signed through where it was
that's the way it
right
goes.
from.
what I'm saying to you is, whenever I was surprised, we have some friends that are right there, and they bought a house, and I told my wife, tell your friend that it's gonna smell really bad downwind from the dump regularly. And so, you bought it, I know you were aware of it, so, that's.
But I think in all fairness to these folks in Northville, that, again, I don't think this has been a real huge problem until a little over a month ago, right?
We know that they think we're idiots and that we don't.
No.
But it shouldn't
no,
smell
that's
like
fair.
his job right.
We hear it all
I
the time.
disagree with him, because I'll buy the house there knowing that if he does his job right, I won't smell it.
Yeah, you're right.
If he screws up in his job, I'm gonna smell it. I bought the house thinking he knows what he's doing. I guess I was wrong.
I mean, it got really bad in the last few
Sure,
months.
right.
And we didn't
Yeah.
smell it when we first moved.
Right, no, I'm saying, and I think
there was a landfill, but I didn't know about a compost farm, and I probably smell that more often.
that's,
No, we didn't know about
That's
compost.
not in my paperwork.
you're right. Okay,
I just have a brief comment.
Yes.
I don't think we want to be a Flint, or that we want to be known for our garbage smelling community in the future. And I just think that the board should be aware of that, and contaminated groundwater, we don't need that. There's enough money to run this township, and if it raises your taxes $10 a month or something, is it worth your health? Is it worth breathing it? Is it worth having it in your groundwater? I don't think so. We've got a couple of parks down there. We've got Mayberry State Park that's 1,000 acres. We have no other state park to use, folks.
We're all
You're
gonna
wrecking
move
it.
to Three Cedars Farm. He built
Don't
the-
let them keep expanding.
He built
The
the
last
town over
time
there,
they
Russ.
expanded, they said that was the last time, and they were going north on 7 Mile, 6 Mile. They were not going north of it. They were staying in the dump they were in, and that was about 5 years ago. Now here we are again, and we're going across 6 Mile? And they're already buying properties up. You just heard him say that they bought the one that they were directional drilling on the pastures of the first house. He says they own it. She says she's the next door neighbor to him. She talked to him last week, and they said they haven't sold it. So where's the tax records? Who owns that piece of property at this point? We'd like to know, as residents, to know if we want to put ours up for sale too and get the heck out of Dodge.
Well, you ain't gonna get nothing for it.
okay. And thanks everyone for your comments. All right, so we're moving on down to the consent agenda. Mr. Wenzel.
I move that Salem Township approve the following consent agenda items. The minutes of January 12, 2016, regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. We also have disbursements for January 2016 out of the general fund. January's check roster includes $147,283.33. That's checks 25,806 through 25,867. We have disbursements out of the escrow fund for $3,905. These are checks 1631 to 1633. We had a payroll of $52,917.96. We used Paycor. It cost us $197.50 to do that. We had disbursements out of the sewer fund for $6,375.01. This is checks 1966 and 1967. So for invoices in February, out of the general fund, we will be writing $82,346.43. Out of the sewer fund, $7,414.68. And invoices out of the escrow fund will be $1,285. Do we have a second?
Support. Any other comments on this? Consent agenda? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
My backyard back.
All right, moving on down to business items. The board of review, I got some little stuff here to read, so bear with me. First is the new poverty and hardship guidelines. Board of review, whereas the adoption of guidelines for poverty exemptions is within the purview of the Salem Township Board, and whereas the homestead of persons who, in judgment of the supervisor and board of review by reason of poverty hardship are unable to contribute to public charges and is eligible for exemption in whole or part for taxation under Public Act 90, 1994. Okay. Whereas pursuant to PA 390, 1994, Salem Township, Washtenaw County adopts the following guidelines for the supervisor and the board of review to implement. Now therefore, be resolved that the board of review shall follow the above state policy and federal guidelines in granting or denying an exemption. This forward resolution was offered by myself and supported by,
I'll support.
Mr. Lindsley. Could you do a roll call on that?
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to roll call on the property hardship guidelines. Converse?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
DeLuca is absent. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Trent?
Yes.
Wensley, yes, and Whitaker.
Yes. Did anybody know what I just read?
No.
Okay. It's for the board review, which is coming up in March, and next one I'll read is protest in writing. It says, in order to ease the burden of taxpayers, the assessor of the board of review is ensure that all taxpayers have equal opportunity to be held by the board of review. Salem Township hereby resolves, according to the provision of the MCL 211.30 of the General Property Tax Act, that the board of review shall receive letters of protest regarding assessments from residents, taxpayers, from the first Tuesday in March until it adjourns for the public hearings for which it needs to hear such protests. All notices of assessments, change, and all advertisements of board of review meetings are to include a statement that the resident taxpayers may protest by letter to the board of review. The foregoing resolution was offered by me and supported by
I'll support.
Mr. Converse. Anybody know what I just read? We're gonna get some free prizes away today, if you remember. Okay, take a roll call vote.
Converse?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
DeLuca is absent. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Trent? Wensley, yes, and Whitaker.
Yes. Okay, I got one more to read. To allow the board of review to change the start date to Wednesday, March 16th, 2016, in order to allow more time for the county's equalization department to review the roll. For compliance with the applicable state requirements, Salem Township hereby resolves, according to the provision of MCL 211.30, General Property Tax Act, the Township Board may authorize by adoption of an ordinance alternative starting dates in March for the board of review. This foregoing resolution was offered by me and supported by
Support, okay.
Trent. You can have a roll call vote.
Converse?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
DeLuca is absent. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Trent?
Yes.
Wensley, yes, and Whitaker.
Yes. All right, next on the agenda, we have the, Mr. Trent, Fire Department.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'd like to move that Salem Township approve the bid from Physio Control Inc. in the amount of $9,060, $9,063 for 4 LifePak AEDs for the fire department as described in the attached invoice, and approve that company as a sole source contract provider of this type of equipment because they are the only authorized supplier in the state of Michigan. In addition, to amend the cost center for the fire department under cost center 420, line item 757 000 operating supplies, and increase that budget from $30,000 to $40,000 to accommodate this purchase.
We have a second on that?
I'll second it.
Lindsley?
Mr. Supervisor, the board will recall a couple months ago, we discussed cost center amendment for the fire department. One of the items we discussed at that meeting 2 months ago was increasing the operating supplies, and that was postponed at that juncture, and several other line items were approved for the fire department. The fire chief was asked to investigate the fire packs and develop a strategy for updating that equipment. He has come back to the board tonight for approval for 4 of these life packs for this fiscal year, with the understanding that he would put into his proposed budget for the next fiscal year to buy an additional 3. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Chief Rockwell discussed at the meeting 2 months ago the need and the requirements for updating our current defibrillators. And I'd like to yield the floor to him, Mr. Supervisor, if I may, for any additional comments.
All right, Chief. Thank you, Mr. Trent, Mr. Supervisor. So basically, what we're looking at is replacing our AEDs that are almost 10 years old, in excess of 10 years old. So one piece of equipment that does provide life savings. Basically, one of the key aspects when we do get a medical call, and as we're all aging, we're getting to use it more frequently. The other aspect is this life pack ties right into HVA's paramedic pack, so when we shock a patient, there's no time wasted when they come in with their $20,000 machine. They can plug right into our packs and unplug ours. So ours are aging, they're no longer able to start to get supplies for them. And in the forthcoming, I think within the next year, we'll no longer be able to update them, so they'll be out of compliance. So this is to put us right for what I assume, or what I would say was basically a key piece of medical equipment that we use. Does the board have any questions? This is a sole source because LifePack only has one distributor in each of the areas, and this is the one distributor for our area.
Any questions?
Yeah, I'd like to ask, how often, like, how many times a month do you use the AEDs?
So we would probably, so it depends on if people have heart attacks, right? And how many times we apply that, I'd like to say 0, but unfortunately it's probably more like 1 to 2 a month.
And you say the supply of the pads,
No,
you
the-
now get third party, you have to get them from a third party, right?
The
Because they're
AED,
currently,
I'm sorry, the AED itself is expiring. Pads are getting harder to find, the older type ones that we have.
expiring as far as what?
The equipment's expiring, no longer manufactured, no longer supported by manufacturer.
Mhm.
The AED, not the pads.
Okay, so that expires this year?
They stopped manufacturing them, and we're finding difficulty in finding replacement parts for them. Now, it's already like that right now.
And have you needed replacement parts?
Yes, we've needed new pads and pacing, and we can't do that anymore. We've had to go on and say, search the internet to replace the pads the last time we used them.
Do you have a supplier, though, that you can still get some, I mean,
Yes, but
for
they told
a
us.
period of time?
Yeah, they told
Do
us.
they have an expiration?
They do,
The pads?
they do.
Have you had a problem with driving?
We have not yet.
Opening up?
They said basically they've stopped manufacturing, the stock probably is gonna last another year or so. That'd be about it. So they have like a 2-year shelf life on them.
Okay, any other questions, concerns about this? So how many total do we need? We need,
I'd like to put one in every truck. The 4 that we're asking for right now would replace the existing 4 that we would have. But the goal would be to have them in every one of our trucks, so whoever's the first on the scene. Again, every minute that we delay in an AED, the American Heart Association says there's a 10% reduction in survivability.
so the 4 that we put them in right now would be the first responders.
One would go into rescue, one would go in our engine, which are 2 rated medicals. The other 2 would go into the smaller trucks, which are much quicker and closer to, I hate to say it, the modular home park, because that seems to be most of our medical calls are out in that area.
Jim, you have put in for the other 3 for next year's budget, right?
Yes, they are in the fiscal year 2016, 2017 budget.
Yes, I'm kind of a little bit concerned about, keep amending the budget all the time, but
wouldn't it make more sense to get all 7 of them next year?
You can wait. Again, it's a key
I mean,
aspect.
we're looking at a month and a half.
Correct, but again, it's a key piece of equipment. This newer update is a much improved product, and for the one piece of equipment that we carry on our medical truck, this is the one that makes the difference. Oxygen and the AED are the ones that bring people back to life, and I want to give our patients the best opportunity for surviving.
Chief, what's the delivery timeframe?
I'm being told when we checked on this, probably, which was about 3 weeks ago, was about 2 weeks to 3 weeks delivery.
And Mr. Supervisor, in regard to Mr. Converse's comment about amending the budget, it's a course of action that all boards need to take depending on the expenditures that occur during the course of a budget year. And there are a number of other cost centers that we will have to address next month anyway. So it's part of the life.
Right. All right, any other questions on this? Do you have a second on it?
Yes, I second it.
Second? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, everybody said aye, okay. All right. So moving on down to the clerk's expenditure report's been submitted. Down to the fire chief.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. January historically has been probably the most busiest month that the fire department itself will see. This year was no different. This last January, we had 2 full structure fires within the township. We had 2 full assists to our neighboring townships for structure fires. We had a fire in Lyon Township that we had a full assist with, and Superior had a fire. And particularly the fires that are in our township, they're long and bring a lot of manpower to it. We went to a 3rd alarm on one of our fires. We also did a mutual aid station coverage for Ann Arbor Township, which went to a fire as well. So we had a ton of medicals this month. The majority of them were there, but then we had the very unusual event of having 2 structure fires. So they seem to come in waves. We had about 4 structure fires in 2 weeks, and you look at the past months, we hadn't had one for probably 5-6 months. So it's terrible because the equipment gets run in the worst conditions. The one fire was about 12 degrees with probably like 2 to 3 inches of snow. And we had problems with the air packs icing up with about a ½ inch of ice that either you run back into the fire to melt them, or you throw them into the rescue and let them melt for about an hour or 2 before you can refill them. So we had a lot of assists from our neighbors. We had a lot of flowing water. We had a lot of issues with, as you can imagine, basically making an ice rink when all the water flows down the driveway. The last thing I wanted to talk about, in Craig Swenson, he's a dispatcher for Pittsfield and I believe a retired sheriff deputy. These radios are our lifeblood. These make the difference between whether we can help you or not. The older radios are the VHF and they're called Maya Sight. This radio here is $5,000 approximately. The county owns this asset. We have about 25 of these. With this radio and the setup properly, I can take this and talk to somebody in the Upper Peninsula. The old way used to be if you didn't have a line of sight, the radio didn't work. So the ability to talk to not only clearly, but I can talk to the state police, I can talk to the sheriff, I can talk to the paramedics. So this allows us interoperability. So the residents of Washtenaw County were gracious enough to approve the first millage, which was 2/10 of a mill. So basically what the responders are asking is renewal of that 10-year millage. So what they're telling me is that the cost of that would be $20 a year on a $200,000 valued house. So $20 a year gives us these radios. The other thing it does is that we're finding a lot more challenges with people going down in their cell phones and where are you? And the newer enhanced technology is gonna be able to tell us, this is where you're at. If you can't talk, or whatever the case may be, the new enhanced 911 is going to be able to tell us, hey, this person's down in your backyard, or this person's out on the freeway at mile marker 17. So I would encourage you to at least review the millage. If you'd like more discussions, I am restricted on some of the stuff that I can say, but there are flyers in here. This is not an increase, this is not a decrease, this is a continuation of the millage that's gonna run out that was approved by the voters last time for 10 years. It's coming up for renewal for another 10 years. We do definitely use these radios. These are, again, it is a key tool. It allows us, one last thing, it does allow us to talk to our neighbors in Wayne County, which again, we didn't have that problem. So like Northville, Plymouth Township, areas like that allows us to, again, reach across the border where before we didn't have that capability with the older radios. So does the board have any questions on this? Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Chief. Also, one other issue, too, under Washtenaw County law enforcement, we've talked to a few residents about some of the break-ins and issues that have been going on, so we need to make sure we're watching out for our neighbors. Sometimes we just get in a rut just thinking everything should be normal, but it's important. I have been talking to our sheriff's department. Of course, we only have 2 deputies on, and we don't always have coverage. But we do need to try to let the residents know on time schedules that they are here in the township. Sometimes that's not always the best, and then people know when the people are around, when our officers are here or they're not here. But they've been saying that they're watching more, but we really need as a community to be watching for our neighbors on some of the issues, the break-ins that we have. If you're not on the Nixle alert, I believe, I'm not sure, but in the township, do we still have?
Yes.
And in there where when you leave tonight, there are some in there, pick up that little flyer. It's easy to be online and, to get online and apply so that you can be alerted when some of these issues happen in our township or surrounding communities, because there's a lot going on, so we need to be aware of it. So, not to frighten you, but we want people to be safe and look out for each other, so. Okay, moving on down, lastly on board discussion, we have our 2016, 2017 budget in front of you, board members. I know we've had some time to look over it. Basically, it's about the same as last year, not too much difference. But any questions? We will be having a public hearing on it next month to pass it. So I'm trying to go through here. Any difference? Any of you have any questions on?
I have a question.
Yes.
Under elections, equipment and software for $9,000.
Yes.
Is that, are we being required to update?
Yes, the state of Michigan, Secretary of State's Office, Department of Elections is going to be, they're actually in the process of purchasing new voting tabulators and all new voting equipment, which we're all really excited for. They're going to do that through the whole state. At first, probably 2 years ago when they started to say that, they were going to be able to take care of the whole bill. But of course, there's been many other things hit the state budget, roads, and now the Flint stuff, and all these other things that are going to be impacting. So they've already cut back the amount of money that they're going to be contributing to this new technology, so we have to pick it up. Every township, every city, every precinct picks that up.
Do you know what the?
It would be about $3,000 a precinct, so that's why we added 9,000.
Okay.
So we have 3
Is it a
precincts.
percentage?
Nobody's really seen the, we've actually seen the equipment, but we don't know when they purchase, they're gonna purchase from one sole contractor and purchase all of the voting equipment for every precinct in the state of Michigan. So it'll just be whatever they can buy it at, and then determine how much is budgeted for the state level, and then whatever's left, we have to pick it up.
Okay, so they give us a bill.
They'll give us a bill. Yes. And then, we also have the August primary and the November general elections. And we've also heard that there's gonna be a May, Washtenaw Intermediate School District is gonna have some sort of bond issue, so we're gonna have four voting, cycles this year, which is a lot. But, most of you probably won't be voting, if you live in Plymouth Canton schools or South Lyon schools, you won't have to go on May to vote, so that's a relief.
Any other questions? We do, I don't know if you see on the roads, which is always issue with our roads, I believe everybody prospers and everybody benefits by improving our roads. We know the county has getting some more money. We did get word about, the county about redoing or reconstructing the road on 6 Mile from Curry Road to Chubb Road, this summer. So we're excited about that. That's not a cost to the township. I have some other ideas that we need to do throughout the hamlet, but that's something we can discuss at another date. As far as, they're saying they can make it a little bit wider, and it'll be good to give the hamlet somewhat of a facelift. We talked about sidewalks, talked about some street lighting. A lot of the things that we should talk about when they start doing this. The other is a real drainage problem that's over in the hamlet here. It's just nothing has ever really been done right. So we really need to really focus on that and see if we can't take this section in here and improve it. And then all the other roads that we have to deal with. So, Dale, you have anything about?
Yeah, just to, maybe as an information, the last 2 years, there's been a $500,000 that was imposed on everybody's taxes. It was by the county commissioners. They decided they were gonna put a $500,000 on there to pay for the local roads. And that $500,000 is what's going to be paying for the 6 Mile improvement here. The Attorney General has issued an opinion that has to go before the vote of the public. So they're suggesting that we may be seeing that on the August ballot. There may be an issue on there to authorize the $500,000, to continuance on that $500,000 for the roads. So that may be another issue that would be on the ballot in August, but that's kind of what it's being used for. Last year, they did double chip seal Curtis Road, and they did some culvert work down there. This year, they're gonna be doing here, and then I think there's one other project out in that they're gonna be doing some more chip sealing on, I think, 7 Mile and a few other roads.
Okay, now I'm not real sure about that, but now what I have heard, that no matter what, this summer, they are going to reconstruct this.
Yes, yeah,
No matter if they get the money or not, but
Yeah, this is going forward past this
Right.
year. But this year, the money is already, you've already paid for it. If you paid your taxes already, you've already paid for it, or will pay for it. But this is going forward next year.
The other issue that needs to be addressed that hasn't been done in years is the acceleration lane or whatever in front of the library at 8 Mile and Pontiac Trail. Left turn lane. So that's something that the library, I know, has shown interest to put some money towards it. I think you might have been in contact with South Lyon about seeing what they could contribute, and then the township would possibly contribute to do that. So that's something in the road projects that we need to really be looking at, and others. We meet with the road commission in March.
March 14th.
to, talk about other issues with our roads. So, the roads are just awful, as we know, through the whole state of Michigan, but we should have the best roads in the state of Michigan, I feel, so.
What happened to the money that we spent on the roads and we were supposed to be reimbursed by the state when they got to pass their little bill last year?
Right, well, we didn't get any of that money back. They were supposed to fund the road, in fact, some of that money that they had just talked about, we didn't get, or they're not gonna get any of that money till 2017.
The $1.2 billion that went, past, that is gonna be paid out over like a 5-year period, and it's not even gonna be starting till 2017. And the contract that we had with them was like a 3-year contract, and that contract is up this summer, so, bottom line is, I think we own it.
Okay, anything else about the roads or, on the budget?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, I shared a comment with Mr. Converse earlier today. It's obvious that we're projecting our revenues to be similar to what we were anticipating this year. However, in looking at the revenue expenditure report, the last 2 months, we've had a reduced income from the gas royalties. Pretty significant reduction, about 30% less than what we would normally expect. Mr. Converse is going to try to follow up with those folks to see if there's some issues going on there. But obviously that would have a big impact if there's some repair issue that might be going on that could take an extended period of time to fix. That could impact our anticipated revenues. Because if everything stayed the status quo, especially from what we experienced last year where we had a very healthy income of $3 million last year, I was going to advocate that we take every spare dollar that we have available to us and put it into roads or land preservation items that we know are important to our citizens. I'm cautious to advocate that tonight unless we have some updated information when we adopt the budget next month as to the status of what's happening with the gas royalties. One area, board members, that we need to put some monies into, talking to our Stantec engineers, there's a permit 41 process that was applied for and approved last summer, and there are still some projects related to that permit process that need to be completed. So under cost center 401 engineering services, the first line item there, it says Salem sewer study. We should change the wording of that to the Salem sewer permit 41 project. And we have a meeting scheduled with Stantec and Highland Treatment the first week of March to go over that project and define what costs will need to be applied to that project. I would say initially, just for talking purposes, we should put $20,000 in there, and we'll find out at our next board meeting what that real number would be for budget purposes.
Right now, we have nothing.
That's right. That's why I wanted to bring everybody's attention.
How much was spent this year on the sewer? Was that on in there?
In that line item, just over 10,000, 10,016.
Because we didn't, I'm almost sure that they were, with the DEQ and stuff that needed to be upgraded on the sewer plant was like $60,000 we had talked about.
Right.
Of improvements. So I know gutters and all that other stuff that they were wanting us to do. So that's still in front of us, I take it.
Yeah, the major items, Gary, are some valves, the engineering that goes into putting those in, and labor. So it's a matter of getting the cost for those valves and who's going to install it, whether it'll be Highland or some.
What do we call that project?
Permit 41.
And that's to complete
just me, I have to get some numbers yet, but, we have a bond payment coming due, and, I'm not sure, we have a very limited amount left in our savings that's dedicated toward the sewer. So I have to go back and with Kim and sit down and really figure out exactly what we think we may or may not have, any obligation to. We, as bondholders, the township is the bondholder, and we're responsible to pay for it. So if the funds are not there, we may have to go back in and out of that. All right.
And, Mr. Supervisor, if I can, update the board on some conversation I had with our assessor this afternoon. At supervisor's invite, I've been apprised that, Mr. Gunther, our township assessor, is, looking at, or has, made a request to increase the number of days that he would be available here at the township. And part of this is to address an audit that was done shortly after he became the assessor. And there's a number of follow-up issues and concerns related to that audit that he is in the midst of addressing. And he would like to shift his priorities where he currently wears a hat at Van Buren Township as well. He is looking at transitioning from that position over the next couple of months. And he's outlined a number of things that would necessitate him to be here an extra day. And something that he would, looking down the road, probably anticipate a July 1st start date to work an additional day here. And so that's a salary issue that we need to discuss. And Bill has provided me some information related to that project. And so we can go into more detail on that at next month's meeting. But it might necessitate an increase in the assessing department contract based on what this board deems as appropriate as far as his compensation.
Just make one comment about Mr. Guthrie. He's been an asset to the township since he's been here. Many people will come in and talk about their taxes, and he's just been very helpful, and it's been a pleasure working with him. So we need to address that situation. Okay, anything else on this? Okay.
Mr. Supervisor, if we just ask in general, as far as salaries for staff, I know we'll be passing
Did I get a raise?
resolution.
Did I get a raise?
This is your draft budget, Mr.
Yeah, we didn't get,
Supervisor.
I didn't get a raise. So that will be on the next, at the next meeting on the, for the employees.
Yeah, exactly, and I was just wondering, generically speaking.
That's been already put into this.
Oh, has it factored into?
That's been factored in. Under my item, of course, we just have, that's actually been lower because we just have one administrative assistant and then, yeah, that's it, right?
Yeah. Administrative one.
Right. So, anyway. But no raises for the board. All right. Anything else? All right. All right, it's public comment. Paul?
Yeah, I got a question. I took a ride by the Shell Road property there. There's a gate across there. When will that be open to the public for?
The signs are made.
I go for my walks there and.
Right. You can still go in there. Have you been walking it?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay.
What do you do, sneak around a gate?
Yeah, you can if you want to. Yeah. But they're saying, the Land Preservation Board is saying by, spring. Maybe they even talked about, doing something at Flag Day, having an opening at Flag Day, if it's something we can coordinate with, whatever, but that's what they're shooting for. It has to be, the two really nice signs been made. I don't know if you've seen the one sign where the Ford people, built it, did the label.
Over there when I was last there.
Well, then somebody, put graffiti on it already, you know, so whatever, so. Anyway, they took that down and fixed that, so. But meanwhile, there's millings around there, they just wanna make sure that the, you know, cars, the farmer who plants over there, you know, then somebody went snowmobiled and ruined some of his winter wheat and stuff like that, so, I mean, that's stuff that's been going on, but I think the people who live around there have made a lot of comments about it's much more manageable than it has been, as far as the pond and the bonfires and the drinking and the parties, that's all stopped, so, it's a good thing, and all the neighbors there really watch it and kinda keep us informed, so it's been a positive thing. That's what I'm hearing from the neighbors, so. Okay. Yes?
On 6 Mile Road, I know they recapped that and everything like that. You may wanna bring up to Washtenaw County that that's starting to peel up.
Right.
And so.
I already have, Bill McFarland was out.
Oh, good.
He's the commissioner, he was out this week,
Excellent.
and, they said they're not done with that road. I
Oh.
said, well, it looked like it was done to me, I don't know, but it is bad already.
I mean, it needs to be, they need to warranty that.
Right. Well, none of our monies went towards that, just, but it's still county money, so it is our money, right?
It's gonna be a mess though, there'll be a lot more of that going on, cause you
Right.
can see where it's getting ready to all peel up.
Right, right. Okay.
Gary, I live on Angle Road next to Mr. John Daniels, and the traffic on that road is terrible, and it goes right by your house.
Yeah.
Earlier tonight, you acknowledged that you can't even hardly go to your mailbox without getting run over. Now, you've been in office for 3 years. What have you done to try and solve that problem?
Well, I can't control the amount
Hey,
of traffic.
Hey, I get, every morning I see John leave his driveway with a football helmet on.
I do have a question as far as if there's like a map of what routes trucks are supposed to be taking, because Engle Road has become a shortcut.
Right.
And especially for bus stops and stuff, it's a huge concern.
Have you done anything about that, Gary?
And that's why, you know, again, we need truck routes for the town, like, and get an ordinance and pass it and say this is what it is.
I do believe that the garbage trucks are not supposed to be using Engle Road,
Yeah.
because I had called Duncan Disposal, actually,
Yeah.
their garbage truck was losing garbage all the way down the road past our house.
Right.
And the dispatch lady that I talked to said, no, our trucks don't use that road, we're not permitted on that road. And I said, well, I have news for you, your trucks travel this road many times a day.
I don't verify that. John, would you stand up?
So who then do you contact about that? Who is the person?
Yeah, now, but again, I'm not necessarily sure that they're not allowed to use that road. I mean,
She
because
mentioned they're not permitted for it, so I don't know what exactly that.
I mean, it's definitely the weight of them are, but again, the problem is the route that the township decades ago, when the landfill came in, is who road to pay bond, so, I mean, to tell them to, come up this route up Beck Road and I mean, that's the route going in, and then nothing else has been done for years. So,
And the no left turn sign is regularly ignored at the exit, and there's nobody sitting there doing anything about it.
They said that's not
But
legal.
even that, I mean, we all turn left there, even though it says no left, everybody that
It's
lives.
regularly ignored, regardless of the vehicle.
No, but again, the problem is I know Northfield Township has one, and a truck ordinance that they passed. And, it makes sense, and then if you enforce it, you have some heavy fines, people, then they get the message. But the problem is, you know, the problem is to pave roads and do it, it's a big price tag. Okay, so the county owns the roads, we really don't have a say-so, we can tell them what we want, but what we get, it's not always there, so, and again, as I've said in the meetings past before, Washtenaw County, as we all know, is getting money off of that hill. And we get it too.
They're getting
But
more
I'm
money
just
than we
saying,
are.
all I'm saying is that we need to say, look, if you're getting money off there, they need to put some money back into here to help with this problem that we have. with our roads. We need, and again, if you sit down and just think about the traffic that goes on here, there's a way to control it. And I'm just saying, but I don't think the township wants to take all the reserves and start paving all the roads. But maybe you do. I don't think that's, I think we need, again, we need to say, just like you folks in Northville Town, some have been very nice to talk to, and it's like, hey, it's a problem. The banging of them trucks and coming down them roads is so annoying, and it's like, we have to do something about it. So I'm saying now is the time, if they do anything, because there's 17 more years, folks. I'm gonna be 78 in 17 years. So I'm just saying, we got 17 years to put up with this. If we say no expansion of the landfill, folks, we got 17 years. So I'm just saying, let's get our heads together and figure out how are we gonna solve this, you know, because there's 17 more years.
Gary, back to the question. You've been here down, like I said, you witnessed the traffic. Have you done anything yourself within the last 3 years? You've been in office to do
It's not about putting me on the spot.
I'm
just
not
saying-
putting you on the
well,
spot,
yeah, you are.
Gary.
You're asking
That's
me a
what we're
question. I'm
talking
saying-
about.
The thing about it is.
You say you wanna do this, you wanna do that, let's do something.
What I'm saying is, so the landfills come in, they talked about expanding, so I'm saying now is the time, you know, if they're not gonna be willing to help us set up some truck routes and do some things, I don't think we even should need to have discussions with them. We should, and then we come back to the public and say, this is what they're gonna do, and then we decide if we want this or not. It is simple. But, you know,
Why weren't the residents ever told about the crushers? The planning commission knows that there is a law that every house within 300 feet should be notified. We were never notified. We were shush, shush, shush. It could be worse, it could be worse. Is the same going to happen with the landfill?
No.
Shush, shush until it's done.
Okay, anybody else? Bob?
Yeah, I want to bring up about your flags. It's pretty well documented about the right way to.
It should be on the right side.
dispose. Right hand side of the speaker.
Get,
And you're the speaker.
I know. You talk to the blonde lady right there, that just turned 60. It's her, I'm sorry.
You've been blaming her for a long time, haven't you?
Now, you know, Valentine's Day is Sunday, gentlemen, and there's all kinds of desserts there. My wife buys the desserts, so please, if you want to make, you know, a point with your wife or whatever, there's some roses there. You can take her a rose. We can provide everything for your families. Ladies, if you're here without your husbands, you know, you can make points and take it home. We want to help families and relationships. That's kind of what we're about here. The show, the movie this past week was, what's the name of the movie we seen? It's
The Choice.
The Choice. Take your wives and your husbands there and see that this weekend. It's very good for couples and wives.
Starts off slow, but it ends good.
Yeah, it kind of is, but it was good. I felt sick a little bit, but then it really makes you think about that's what life's all about.
You might wanna take Wendy. Might help you out.
Okay, Bill,
May I make comment on
you
the?
can make a comment.
on the
2 minutes.
Will.
I was here last month and introduced myself, and I'll do it again. I'm Phil Chin, and this is the Washtenaw County Republicans. What I'm here to talk about is, on that back table, there is a 8.5, 11 flyer. And Washtenaw County, the Republicans this Saturday are having a sort of a convention for precinct delegates. Also for people who think they might want to be precinct delegates in the upcoming election. You'll learn things like, notice I haven't said you had to be a Republican, although of course we would want you to be. You will learn things like what's expected of a precinct delegate and how can you help to get your favorite candidate or whomever elected, and things like the kind of pizza we buy and the kind of soda we have. There's information on the flyer. I shan't take any more of your time other than to say Saturday, if thought about being a precinct delegate, or if you're already elected to be a precinct delegate, you might want to pick up a flyer and join us Saturday. Thank you for your time.
Thank you all for being here tonight, and Brent, you had something?
Yeah, I just wanted to, talk a lot about the problems tonight that the township needs to address going forward. I just wanna talk about putting people in place to help this board with these problems. I've been here for about 20 years now, and previously Don Pennington was the planner. Rodney kind of worked alongside of him, and he took over, he just kind of inherited the job. I think it's time for the township to look at other planners and bring somebody in with a little more expertise. The second part is we have a part-time zoning administrator at the moment. There's nothing wrong with the job she does. It's just she kind of wants to retire from the feeling I get. I think it's time to bring, either she needs to decide, is she gonna be here, or we need to get somebody in here to do the job. You shouldn't be fielding as many calls as you do. That should go to the zoning administrator. Now, if people don't get help from the zoning administrator, then they can ring your cell phone. But the board needs help moving forward. And I think you really need to look at the people and the team that you assemble to make that happen.
Thanks, Brent. Appreciate your support. All right.
Yeah, one more question, Gary.
Yep.
Didn't you and I have that comment last, or talk about that last week in the hallway?
Yeah, we did.
About firing Rodney and Lanning?
We're remember, stay tuned.
Hey, none too quick is too soon. Get rid of him.
All right. Well, thanks for being here, and happy Valentine's Day. everyone.